The In the Den podcast with SIMBA and Spokecast is produced locally and independently by Spokecast. Intro music provided by Logan Daniel McDonald.
What is up, Lilac City, and welcome back to In the Den, a collaboration with SIMBA and Spokecast. Today, the Executive Director, Robin Haynes, and Brennan Pointer of Spokecast sit down to talk with Kasey Davis and Lars Gilberts of Numerica Credit Union to talk about the role community banking plays in supporting small businesses here in Spokane and across Eastern Washington. Kasey works closely with entrepreneurs and nonprofits as a business banking relationship officer, while Lars focuses on market development and expanding opportunities for local communities. Together, they bring a perspective that goes beyond transactions and into true relationship banking. We talk about what makes credit unions different from traditional banks, how Numerica approaches working with startups and growing businesses, and why supporting local entrepreneurs is such an important part of their mission. The conversation also explores a partnership between Numerica and SIMBA and how organizations working together can create strong pathways for small businesses to succeed. If you're an entrepreneur, nonprofit leader, or someone thinking about starting a business, this episode offers a great look into the resources and relationships that help Spokane's business community keep moving forward.
Well, it's 2026, and I was asking someone this week, how long do you get to keep saying Happy New Year? So I think it's maybe today. It's Friday, the first full week of the work week. Someone said it's when they stopped writing 2025 on any documents or on checks, and I was like, well, are you writing checks? But we are back on In the Den.
Yes.
Our wonderful podcast with Spokecast, one of our sponsoring members. We have two now, Electric Photo Land. The coolest people hang out with SIMBA. And we are so delighted to have Lars and Kasey, and I will have them introduce themselves, especially because Lars has changed his title, and I keep wanting to introduce him the old way. And it's my first time meeting the delightful Kasey, so it will not be the last. But this is In the Den, where we highlight our local community in Eastern Washington, SIMBA members, the work we're doing, and the things that matter to us in Spokane and Eastern Washington. So I will turn it over to Lars and Kasey to introduce themselves.
I'm Kasey Davis. I'm a business banking relationship officer with Numerica Credit Union. So I serve our small business community when they need a loan, a banking relationship, or just somebody to have a direct contact at the credit union. I've been with Numerica Credit Union for 3 years now, and I've been in banking for about 10. I started at a larger financial institution and moved to credit unions because they just were a little bit more of a easier transition to help our small business members. So work with a great team. We're a really small commercial lending department, but we are probably one of the biggest pertaining to credit unions. We are kind of the great game in town that helps as many people as we possibly can to achieve their goals. So amazing.
Lars Gilberts. I'm the VP over market development for Central Washington up through Spokane here. And some of that title change, part of what brought me to the organization was my history in economic justice, small business development, all of this. And in the end, it's great to be able to work with small businesses, work with individuals to have that financial freedom, that emotional, mental well-being. And if the systems are not working for you, that is really challenging. I wanted to get into the system to make it better, and Numerica's group that I saw doing that. And so I got to work for about 4 years in saying, hey, how do our products, our services help first-time home buyers, small businesses, you name it.
Nonprofits.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, why don't we start with what's Numerica and how long has it been in Spokane? That's what I'm most curious about right now. I'm also curious about a lot of other things, but I think I'm always curious about credit unions because I know that as I've gotten older and I've learned about the marketing of credit unions, they started as probably a like Spokane I was going to say Spokane Teachers Credit Union is a teachers credit union, and that's where teachers banked. And then, but where did Numerica start?
Do you want to tell us a little bit?
That's all you. My parents banked at SDCU though because they were teachers.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of how it started. And take it away, Lars.
So I'll go back to. I'm going to nerd out a little bit. I should have been wearing my glasses on this one. So part of where credit unions started, and I'll connect credit unions, all of us, as well as Numerica. This goes back to like the 1800s in Germany, and like we're not going to go fully back, but like Germany,
Nerd alert.
And I embrace
Get your notes out.
And in England, to say that there was workers, there were farmers, there was other people were tied to the land, tied to people that had capital and wealth, and the individuals got really bad situations. And so they're saying, hey, we've all got a little bit. And so if we put it together, when you need to buy new tools, when you need to do something, how do you afford it? When access to credit was only private banks for people of means. And so this is the concept, and this came to the United States and really blew up in the 1930s. And this is one of the things that I love about our story. So 1934, Estes Park, Colorado, about 100 and some people came together. About half of them were women.
Before they could have bank accounts, mostly.
Before they had their own credit and everything else. And even when you look at SDCU, like again, they were founded mainly by women.
Yeah.
But their first CEO, that's a woman, is right now, and she's phenomenal.
She is.
And so but our history has been being accessible, being equitable. And there was always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. There were no black women there in that first group. There's a variety of things to work through. And we started with 7, and now we have 8 cooperative principles. And so before this, we were talking about co-ops and whatnot. We are a member-owned co-op. And that impacts a variety of things and a bit of our history. And I'll try to keep this brief. In the end, we can only use money that are from our members. We can't go out and get shareholders to go sell stock to and whatnot. And it's a double-edged sword. That means that we have to grow really slowly and really intentionally. But in the end, as we benefit, this is one of our 8 cooperative principles. Our members, our owners, benefit from as we do well, our members benefit from that. And so if that shows in a lot of different ways, but we're democratically led. Our members elect. When we look at DEI, financial education, working with other co-ops, these are all principles that are in our DNA. So for us, we started as a railroad credit union.
Okay.
And oftentimes, and this is part of the challenge there, for a lot of blue-collar workers, and if in white-collar with teachers, similar situation, but for railroad workers, especially up in Hilliard, if you get paid, so you have tools, you have equipment, like where do you get the money to be able to equip yourself? A loan shark? Once you get a payment, you could get checks. You're not allowed to be banked most places.
Right.
Who will cash your check? The bars. And so families were getting it at both ends. And especially oftentimes it was wives who were saying, my husband's coming home with the check that we need to survive, but it's only part of it because he could only get it cashed at the bar and then he drank too much and now our family's at risk. And so we came about as a way for community to keep and grow their money. And we keep on doing this. One of the most recent examples is when cannabis became legal in Washington. Here, especially, people were driving across the entire state with hundreds of thousands of dollars in their car. That is not safe.
No.
That is not safe for our community. And we stepped up and we took some risks to be able to continue that practice of keeping our community safe and healthy.
Right. Interesting. And like, for those who are listening, like, the railroad in Spokane used to be the biggest employer, and so so I imagine when you were that form of a credit union. I mean, were you the biggest credit union in Spokane, or you still are, or is that something that?
No, and it's in the end, like when you have a lot of, it kind of goes to like small business might be where we grow our businesses the most, but it takes a lot of us to add up.
Yeah.
And so same thing with credit unions. We actually, pretty early in our history, there was 2 credit union, 2 railroad credit unions that merged together, and that's what we became.
Okay.
And we've merged with other, because you can't do a hostile takeover. You can do a hostile takeover with banks, but like we're like, you got to date us and then you marry. And it's like, that's how credit unions work, because in the end, it's really it's baked in so many different ways. For the longest time, we were never allowed to do business loans. And yet so many people, it's not just now that people have side hustles, people have always had ways to be able to make ends meet. And that might be a side hustle that turns into a business that turns into a new opportunity.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But they couldn't get their loans from a credit union until we fought for the right to serve our members in every way possible.
And that was federal. That wasn't just like Spokane only. It's
Right.
a federal thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's with NCUA and FDIC if we were able to lend to not just consumers but to businesses. Yeah.
So you've kind of touched on it a little bit, and I really love talking about you can only get your checks cashed at bars because it really is a callback to our last
for
episode
sure.
with Renee Sebula from Badass Bitters, who talked about history of drinking culture and how the tavern was where you also, as a railroad person from out of town, may have also rented a room at night and had your hot meal and got your checks. And so having a space that is accessible, but we love that. So also listen to that episode. But can you tell us a little more? You both kind of touched on it. Difference between a credit union and a bank. I think people kind of get those confused. They don't know what it means. They think STCU is a good example. They think you have to be a teacher to be a member, or you have to. There's the firefighters credit union. You have to be a firefighter to be a member. And I know that's true of some, but not true of Numerica. So maybe you can distinguish that as well.
Yeah. So two different things. So this is perfect. I'll pick up from the history to now. We used to be limited. Part of what the banks allowed savings and loans and credit unions and others to do is you can be a financial institution, but you have to do it for specific groups. So it might be for a company. So Safeway still has their own one, actually. Boeing Employee Credit Union.
Avista.
Avista
Still has their own.
Yeah. And so these SEGs, these groups of employees or community. Eventually, one of the things we fought for too was how do you open that up? And so now there's charters, and some are still serving very specific, like Spokane Media, phenomenal credit union doing some really.
We love Sarah so much.
So great. And others like Spokane County Federal is now Canopy. They used to serve specific groups, and then they opened up their charter. We did that same thing. So if you live, work, and worship anywhere in Washington or Northern Idaho, we can serve you. And even if you're doing loans outside of the area, you buy a place, we can serve you. But for every credit union, no matter what type of member you have, the three kind of areas we look at are structure, impact, and value. So one, how are we structured? In the end, again, we talked about our members own us. And so that is a critical thing, that we are not beholden to Wall Street. We're not beholden to who buys up all the stocks and does a push on our board to fire this and do this. And no, we can't be a hostile takeover, any of those things. Impact, when you look, some banks are held accountable by the Community Reinvestment Act. Essentially, enough banks weren't living out the spirit of their responsibility to the community that they had to be held legally responsible. Credit unions, this is in our DNA. And so the impact that we have on our members and on the community at large, International Credit Union Day, show me banks that do this. There's some good banks. This is not to throw shade. And around the entire world in October, credit unions, we come together and we do massive service projects. We raise funds, we roll up our sleeves, and we do stuff together. We're not competing. And so that impact looks a lot of different ways. And then again, the value. We make sure that the retained earnings and the other stuff go back to our members. For the longest time, we've done more SBA loans than any credit union in the entire state, and more than most banks. And because in the end, we're willing to take this on because it's the right thing to do, even if it's not always the most profitable thing to do.
Well, let's talk about SBA loans.
Something I was going to add to that too is when I first got hired at a credit union, my family was all like, from going from a larger institution, a bank, they were like, oh, you're just going to why did you decide to cross over to a credit union? And why are credit unions' names over every single billboard at Eastern? We're now Numerica's Veterans Arena. That's a huge deal to us.
You've talked directly about the good you're doing in the community, and we see it all the time. And that's why your name is everywhere. And it's not you're buying this advertising as if you're, .com arena or whatever. They're always changing. Someone was talking about I'd call it the Staples Center still, but I'm also not
I
young.
still call it T-Mobile. I mean, Safeco Field.
Right.
Over in Seattle.
I don't know what it's called
He
anymore.
has a Sonics hat on. He got what I was saying.
That's right. We all know.
CenturyLink Field.
Let's talk specifically about how you support small businesses, because that's what we're doing at SIMBA as well.
Sure. So your first question is the SBA. I would say that we've got a killer SBA department. My boss is actually the SBA officer, and we also have another SBA officer. And I would say that my boss in particular is unmatched in SBA. That guy knows everything about SBA. It's insane. The cool thing is that a lot of larger institutions outsource their underwriting. That's a really big word. That's just the people who look to see if you qualify for a loan. They outsource their underwriting to Seattle, or AI is becoming a thing. We are still in-house underwriting. So when you do an SBA loan with Numerica, we actually underwrite it, and then we work with the SBA. We have SBA-specific specialists to help process your loan. I always say if you're going to do an SBA loan, get ready for the longest headache of your life. It's worse than buying your first house, and I've helped people buy their first houses. And the reason why is because, we are dealing with the government. SBA loans are the Small Business Administration, as most people know. But they have a bunch of different programs that we're able to do. Less down payment on a commercial real estate. They help with working capital. They help business buyouts. The hardest industry right now, I would say, in the SBA is startups. And startups are just tough everywhere, to be honest. We are unfortunately turning a lot of startups down. But that's where CDFIs come in handy. And I work with MoFi Lending. They're based out of Montana. We love Kristen at MoFi. Yes. She's amazing. She's my girl.
That's our contact also.
She is my girl. I try to get coffee with her every quarter. She comes over. It's so great. But the cool thing is that you can partner with a CDFI, and they can get you started, and they're willing to take on a bigger risk. They also are a nonprofit, but they are not a financial institution. So they don't require you to bank there. What I love about them is they always say, bank with Kasey, bank with Numerica. We'll take care of your loans. And then at the end, we can, after 2 years and you show profits and you show that you're doing all right, we can refinance those MoFi loans at a little higher interest rate. And so business partners like that for startups is always a really strong thing. So
two things, because I know everyone in this room knows these alphabet soup, and I always forget when I tell people what a CDFI is. And then around that underwriting, I always try to explain to small business owners is these are just people approving your loan. Yeah. They're going through the process. But talk about underwriting in relation to relationship banking and what that
What's
looks
the acronym for CDFI? Because I don't remember.
So I'll do a couple things here. So it's a community development financial institution.
That's right.
And sometimes you have a financial institution that gets that additional designation. And sometimes it's a standalone, like SNAP, your local SNAP Financial Services.
Craft 3 lending.
And the other thing just to note too, that these are all different tools, and we do traditional small business lending as well, and that's everything from equipment to your operations, you name it, and just
business credit cards also,
business credit cards.
The starter business lending.
Yeah, I can kind of give you a rundown. So the list of products that we do non-SBA, I'll not include SBA products. Amazing. So equipment, trucks and trailers. So a lot of financial institutions right now will not touch the trucking industry, and I will. So I've helped a lot of loggers get some trucks, trailers, some of those truckers that actually go out on the road and help with the wildfires and forestry. I've worked a lot with them as well. We also do any type of equipment, and including cannabis equipment. I got to finance a really cool piece of cannabis equipment. I called it the Willy Wonka machine because you guys have no idea what I saw. It was like the coolest thing. So it was literally like Willy Wonka for cannabis. So we can do that. And then, of course, commercial real estate. We also, Numerica helps with investors. We've got, if you have an investor portfolio for multifamily duplexes, things like that, we like real estate. That's for darn sure. So yeah, those are kind of just the basic conventional loans that I deal with on a daily basis. So if you were calling me and being like, I don't know, give me an industry.
I'm a podcaster who has a small studio.
Cool.
Who needs to upgrade his equipment.
Or you want to upgrade your equipment. Yeah. Awesome. So I would, hey Kasey, can you help me out? Awesome. Can you get me an invoice of your, what kind of equipment are you looking for? Can you about how much are you looking for. We have lending guidelines on how much you have to bring in as a down and versus non-down. And then if it's a smaller loan, we do $0 to $50,000 actually within our retail branches. So if it's an opportunity that I can kick a referral over to a retail branch, like Jacob at downtown, he's gonna love that I gave him a shout out.
There we go.
They can process that loan as well. But like I said, I'll always give you a shot. When it comes to documentation, I always say it's like asking for your blood type at this point. But we usually require 2 years of business tax returns, 2 years of personal tax returns, profit loss, balance sheets, operating agreements. It's the basics that any financial institution is going to ask you. However, looking at podcast media, or like microphones and it's getting expensive, then, we take a look at it and see if you qualify for it. We look at, it's called debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, so for every dollar that you borrow, you have to have $1.25 to pay back, and that's the ratio that we look at. A lot of people say, well, debt to income, because that's a consumer term. We have a lot of those mumbo jumbo words in business lending as well. So then, okay, you send me everything. We then submit it to underwriting, because that was your next question.
That's right.
Underwriting is a little bit different at Numerica. They essentially take your financials that you have provided me. Usually your business lender is going to look at financials before they even submit it and say, yes, we can do the deal, or can we wait 6 months? I always like to give you a no if I have to give you a no, but like, how can we get there? Let's coach you there. Let's get you there. Talk to me, call me, email me. This is what I'm here for, is to support you.
Rely on our partners.
Rely on partners. Maybe go get I need a better business plan. Create a better business plan.
Yes, I was going to ask about business plans.
Yeah,
so talk about the need for business plans in this.
Yeah, we want to look at your projections. We want to look at your business plan, but it is not my expertise to write about your business plan. That's not my job for sure.
In the end, too, it's like, I think, because I used to help people write business plans, and I don't, there's definitely not a box to check of like business plan submitted.
Right.
But in the end, it's like, how are you operating your business?
That's right.
Your financials tell the story of how you've operated previously. If the less of a paper trail that you have, a number trail on that, the business plan will help us get an idea of what path you want to walk. But it's in specific things. What's your financial plan? If there's an operational or a marketing, then it's like, oh, that number means something because of the context. And so I think, again, it's a story. So I think sometimes people feel overwhelmed with a marketing plan or whatnot. You're helping us tell a story in writing. It's shown that you've thought this through. You've talked this. You know how to this benchmarks. You've set projections that you know how to defend. You're not just, well, I've got 5 friends that said they want to buy it. Well, that's great, because that's
And honestly, I love it when people tell me their life story when it comes to their business, because Numerica, in a little bit different way, I'm not an order taker, so I'm here to look at your ideas and try to make it happen, right? So that's something that I really enjoy about my job, is that I can look at a blip year or a rough year, or that was my startup year, look at how I grew. The cool thing is, because our credit, so you have underwriters, right?
Yeah.
But they actually are not the decisioners. We have credit administration, and they are our decisioners. Our underwriters are not the, no, I don't like it. You don't hit the ABC of the boxes. They submit it back to the relationship officer, and the relationship officer is like, is this something I want to do? So our credit our credit administration, it's something that's so great about Numerica is we all work in one big building, right? And so if I want to go and talk to my credit administration about a loan or about a deal, we can go have that face-to-face conversation and try to fight for you, me as your relationship officer, and them trying to still protect the credit union from risky deals. They're there to be the bad guys, right? And we're here to be the good guys. But at the end of the day, those credit people are there to support. They want to see your dreams happen too. They love seeing we'll use SIMBA as an example. When you go to renew your line of credit or you go to renew, say you wanted to buy a building or something.
We would love to if anyone wants to donate. Link in bio.
Yeah, link in bio. They need it down. So, but at the same time, that's when we get to say like, well, they've banked with us since 2013. Look at their payment history. Look, I love that part of my job because I get so passionate about who I'm helping. And so you as a small business owner and as small business owners, there's usually never a voice for you. Usually that $0 to $1 million mark. I know that seems like a lot, but $1 million is still, for a loan, is still a lot for a small business, but that is actually small compared to commercial. Most commercial loans are 500,000 and above, and then you're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, we just 11 million. You know, like, and so I think that's where I feel like me as a relationship officer, building that trust with me. I always joke like one day you're going to graduate and you don't need me anymore, and they're like, I'm like, that's always a good thing. If I have to transition you to a commercial officer, it's like, there you go, nice job.
Before we pivot on that transition,
sure.
See, Lars, like, I've got a point.
Oh.
SIMBA does business planning, formal business planning, and we also help prep you for meetings with people like Kasey, so you can come in and tell them, because not everyone's a storyteller, and not everyone knows the kinds of things they're going to ask. We use Live Plan, just like Snap does, just like MoFi does, and we'll create a beautiful tool with you and walk you through it so you can come in ready to answer those questions and prep you so that you show up and you have not just your financials, which we can also help you with, to get them in order. So, like, I don't know, here's my metaphorical box of receipts, but here is about me in a way that the lenders are ready to hear.
That's the best part, though. You can tell when somebody went to a place like SIMBA and they want to get an SBA loan. We love that because then we're like, oh, I want to see someone put the work in.
That's right.
Like, I'm going to give you a shot if you have genuinely put the work in. I had a killer referral for somebody who has a dream, and they've put 2 years of work into their business plan and constantly trying to save for the down payment and get business investors. And so when I submitted it to Matt Biggerstaff as our SBA go-to person, when I submitted it to Matt, he was like, oh, I love people like this, right? Because they delivered the big checklist for SBA because they've worked with you and you put the effort in. So I can't recommend it enough. Whether you've been in business for a day or you've been in business for 10 years, sometimes having a resource that can explain the bank jargon before you get to the banker is always so great to really assist with that. So it's amazing. I appreciate your organization for doing that. Yeah.
Well, and just one thing as a way to look at this, because I think so oftentimes financial institutions have broken our trust at times. And so like it can feel very adversarial. And what I would invite, like working with us especially, but really hopefully any credit union, is we're always trying to balance the member and the membership. And so this, when you go back in the day, like if you used to be a railroad worker or a teacher or whatnot, you knew that if you got a loan, you weren't hurting some, fat cat investor. You didn't repay, you were hurting your friends and your community members.
That's right.
And so now, like not only are there regulations and whatnot, but in the end, we are this community. And so when we do the first intake or the underwriting, we want to say yes. And we want to make sure that your friends, your mom, everybody else's money is safe, that we're all doing well. And so it's really that balancing of the member and the membership's needs both.
And that's usually the hardest part of the job.
Yeah. But in the end, if that's, I think, a helpful mindset of when you're coming in, that you're asking to borrow your neighbors and your friends and your family's money through a more formal process. Maybe a little less awkward for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
How have you seen the small business Spokane.
Cut that.
The Spokane small businesses like ecosystem change over the last couple of years. Like, is it since COVID has a lot more? I feel like a lot more people are starting businesses. Is that true? Do you see a lot more people coming in for SBA loans and trying to start their businesses through that?
Yeah.
I honestly, as a small business owner, I never even considered.
I get the comment all the time, I'm tired of working for the man.
I've never even considered even trying to get a loan. I've never thought about it, honestly.
Brandon's the only person that's ever worked with SIMBA who has not asked about money.
That's right.
You're my favorite person.
That's right.
It's mostly because I don't make enough.
That's it. Like as far as, so what historically, when we look at it, every economic downturn usually leads to more people starting businesses. And so one thing that I would offer is, so part of my professional development started in South Florida when I was working, helping people that had a side hustle turn it into a real business. Because one of the a challenging thing is like about a third of Americans have a side business. And so that's great. Don't commingle your funds. Like all these things are like treating.
That has to be the clip because I say it all the time and nobody listens and we need more people to say it. And I'm like, oh gosh, no.
And it's so, but here's the thing. So like there's how many people do we know that are home health aides or other things like that? They are running their own small business. They're getting a 1099 and the person that's giving them contract isn't setting them up for success. When we don't, most of us didn't have entrepreneurial parents necessarily that taught us what it was like to be a small business. So what do you expect? Where can I use somebody else's money to grow my business faster potentially? What is the thing that I want to bootstrap it and where do I want to bring in some help? All this type of stuff. When do I need a separate account? When do I need to pay for a professional versus learn the skill myself? Or these are things that a lot of us haven't talked through. I could offer a spicy quote, but it's just like our parents, like they never talked about sex or money, but we found out they had both.
Right.
And
so
I came from the stork.
So in this, we don't talk about these things. And entrepreneurship is that next level of things it's this creation of like birthing this thing that also involves money. So it's like, it's definitely not something we want to talk about. We use magical thinking versus like really talking it through. So there's more of a growth in this time, but I think the thing is like if a business can start strong, it can go the distance. I don't want to talk about all the failure rates, but actually here's the positive things. When you look at for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, there's been a lot of SBA research around why do businesses fail? The top 5 reasons consistently over that time of why businesses fail are almost all preventable. And working with partners like SIMBA, working with your financial institution to be able to have that relationship, talk things through, business failure is substantially preventable with a little bit of forethought and planning and support.
We like to talk about SIMBA, and I talk about Numerica and other credit unions that we are always sending people to because I'm like, let's build that relationship. Let's get where we need to go. And we definitely refer people to Numerica regularly we're a judgment-free space and you don't have to have the answer. No. I can't put together a cocktail class like Renee. Right. I'm not going to run a podcast myself. I'm not going to build a building. But I can help you with those other little pieces because I know those things. Or my organization, when I say I'm always talking about SIMBA, we know those things and we know the right people with the right answers. Ask for help. And I think the beauty of some of the other conversations I've had with Numerica in the past and other staffers as well is even if the answer is no, not right now or not yet, here's how we're going to get you there.
Yeah.
And I will also caution against the AI tools a little bit. And
absolutely.
I will do everything I can to always talk about basketball every time I'm on with Brennan. We had a whole podcast. I'm like, we got to talk about business at some point. But the only AI I trust is Allen Iverson. So people who are too young don't know what I'm talking about. But we're talking about practice.
So you're saying like don't ask ChatGPT for financial advice.
I wouldn't. When there are resources like credit unions where you don't even necessarily have to have an account to start asking questions.
Right.
Where SIMBA has resources, where Snap Financial has resources, where SBDC has resources.
Massively. Yeah.
Go to a trusted partner who can navigate through that. AI is a great tool.
Right, yeah. Right.
When you have the right prompts for it.
Exactly.
And
sometimes you don't know enough to know that you don't know.
That's right. The people in this room can tell you that. Because like the SBA is an acronym that stands for a ton of different things.
Yep.
And so if you don't know what you're talking about, like, this, and it's like fill in the blank something else.
Yep.
So getting the right tools and then using that and knowing that those resources are here, usually free or very low cost from people who care about this community.
Yeah.
You asked the question too if like the Spokane is really expanding in small businesses and after COVID. So I saw a lot of businesses get a lot of money through Paycheck Protection Program loans. And if I can like twitch, it was really, really hard. I worked in a smaller community. It was in the up north Deer Park community. That's where I was working for a very long time. And that's where a lot of my clientele is still. I really appreciate that town a lot. They gave me a lot, and they still are. It's really wonderful. But what I will say is I saw a lot of people obtain those loans because it was free money, right?
Right.
Yep.
That's what everybody said. And then it got forgiven, right? Then I saw those Schedule C, which is, if anybody knows anything about tax returns, Schedule C just means you're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, where they were the sole operator for their entire family to feed their family. And I got to do Paycheck Protection Program loans for them. 100%, it filled my cup. I've also noticed a lot of people decide to maybe 1099 their employees and have them start their own small businesses to create that. It maybe saves a little bit of money that way as well.
But don't just do that, because SIMBA's an official L&I partner and you can get in big trouble.
You can. So you have to be really careful. But I know a lot of people who have their own small business, and it's just like, I'll use trucking as a perfect example. It's you. So those boys up, up north logging and all of that, who have to provide for their families, their next haul could be with one mill, it could be with another mill, it could be with another operation. But we saw a lot of people branch out a little bit more, and it was just because there was more of a demand. And so I saw growth in that. But that truck means more to them than their house, because it provides and feeds their family.
More than some of those houses sometimes.
Pretty much, yeah. And so you just have to. So I have seen a boom in that. I mean, don't go open a coffee shop because they're everywhere in Spokane.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the business needs to fit the economy. Like, I mean, I feel like back in 2012, there was 1,000 small breweries in here, and now I'm seeing all the small breweries shut down. And there's not nearly as many anymore.
One thing I would say is I'm proud of our community here. When you look at the numbers after COVID, Spokane had one of the lowest rate of business loss in the state, and across the nation we really stacked up really well. And I will brag, 'cause, like, I was not working for Numerica during that, but I was leading an organization that chose to move to Numerica. And when everybody was freaking out about PPP, and we didn't know, like, do we actually need this? Like, when I realized the trade-offs, how it impacted my organization, we applied, and most places weren't taking you in. And if you were a smaller organization, they weren't helping. And Numerica did. And it was one of two large organizations that really stepped up quickly. Others figured their footing. And it's just, I think it was part of the larger response that allowed businesses to stick. And so on the positive side, some communities, businesses crashed, and that led for more business opportunity for new starts. But how much pain and suffering did that lead to our community?
Right.
So we didn't have that dip. So we've increased, but it's not been quite in the same way, perhaps.
That's right.
But more things we can share about that.
Yeah. It's different. It ebbs and flows.
Yeah. No, I just in my small knit of friends, like everyone's starting a business, and like, and some of those are, they might not have a business license yet, or they're just like an idea, but like everyone has, like you said, a side hustle.
Oh, it's my favorite thing in the world to shut down big ideas. I'm not even kidding you.
No, that's why you work on that side.
I literally have a friend. I love him to death. I would walk through fire for him, and he's always like, "Got a good one for you," and I was like, "No."
Like,
I think I'm here to humble him every single day. Yeah.
So I will, on the serious side, it is like part of when I used to lead technical assistance. One of the most loving, compassionate things that we can do is to help people to rigorously review their ideas, because in the end, like, where do we get our first funding? It's from our family, from our friends,
from ourselves.
Yep.
And so, what are we trading off on? And so, like, a lot of things that people have talked about, like where opportunities go, and so oftentimes, like, it's a rough road, and often you'll make more money if you stay in a other job. So it can't be just
don't
about
quit your job to
it can't
go start
be about
your
the money
bakery.
It needs to be about something more than that. And so if we can help you figure out the right time and the right thing and all that type of stuff, because again, you can be successful.
And I'll direct you, if you have a dream and you want to start a business, you can go talk to SIMBA first.
That's right. And then we can have that hard conversation, because we do have that.
Yeah.
And it's valuable. So one of the things we do, and everyone in the room knows about it, we'll partner a lot with, like, say, the folks at Feast, where they set them up to learn to, prep meals.
That's where my lunch was.
Amazing. Appeal to a Western palate and buy enough food and figure out the timing. And they have all the training and talent there, but they don't always have the time. So we often go there and do trainings on, like, let's get you out of this space. And a lot of people are like, I want to start a restaurant. I'm like, oh God, no.
Please
but
no.
Let's talk about catering, because you're such a popular caterer and you're so successful. Let's talk about pop-ups. Let's talk about private chefs, which is wildly popular in this town, and people are succeeding in that. Let's talk about.
Well, we live in we also live right next to a huge resort, which is Coeur d'Alene.
That's right. Like, let's talk about these things that you can do first before that, and before that level of risk, and food trucks especially.
Well, and two, like, so talk about the side hustle and connecting to this point that not all employers are bad. It's not this evil empire. I love working at Numerica. I can brag about that, and a lot of places jobs are less secure than ever before. And so having a side hustle, living in South Florida, like most of my Jamaican and Bahamian friends, like if you have one job, you're considered lazy. Like most people have two or three things. And like from developing economies, that's the thing. You never put all your expectations in one. And I think our economy is moving more toward that, where you can't rely just on one employer, one job, one whatever. So diversifying your income is smart, but also if you started strong and you started it with separate finances and whatnot, if you can come to Kasey and say, hey, I've been running this business for 3 years. We'll call it a side hustle. I've been running this business for 3 years while I've been also working. Here's my income. I want to make this full time, or I want to level up. That's a very different conversation from saying, I want to start a business. I want to quit my job and start this that I've done no sales, no experience, nothing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, don't put the cart before the horse, because like, don't try to go get a loan if it's just a business idea. I was just like, that's what SIMBA exists for. Like,
yes, but like, we get people coming to us all the time asking that, and I'm like, let's not
every day.
And let's talk about why, because then also Kasey's going to say no to you, and someone at Numerica is going to, and the other bank is going to say no to you, and then maybe you do find someone who says yes, and maybe they're a
not
hard
a great
money lender, and then you're in worse trouble.
And then you're going to call Kasey, and then she's going to look at your interest rates and be like, wow,
how?
That was not a smart decision. What I will say, wow, that was not the best move.
Then come to me, I'll give you a hug.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, go to Lars if you want hugs. Come to me if you want just a slap in the face. I'm like, no. We need people like Lars out there to go drum up business, and I'm real good at saying no. But what I
love saying yes.
Yes, I say yes. Actually, I've said yes more, and that's why I love Numerica, is like, there are some deals that I was like, this is really tough, but we made it happen. Yeah. It might have not been the first request or the second request, but man, put pen to paper and you can really figure it out. And you get passionate. If I get passionate behind you, I'm usually the one like advocating for you. But you had, I had this thought and it just like, okay. So I always say this to people. You can't go from being a banker, like me, a loan officer, to being a cupcake baker. No. With the SBA or with anybody. Right. You can't be like, hey, I've been doing external garage door sales my entire life, and I decided I'm going to go open a brewery because I like beer. And I always say, well, I like beer too, but I'm going to stick with my 9 to 5.
Right.
So that is something that it's a constant conversation that we always have with people.
That industry experience matters for lending, and it's an SBA requirement.
So I had a very interesting, story. It was a person who wanted to start a coffee shop. So we always talk about niches, like niches and niches. Yeah. Where you say it, you can edit that out. That sounded stupid. Just makes me real. I do numbers all day, people.
I'm not gonna edit that out.
It's gonna be the number one
clip. But you talk about like an industry, and then there's this like big, right, and then it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So that particular individual had an idea to have a coffee shop, but it was very aimed towards a different type of, like, it was more like religious based and a community center and all of that. And she had never made a cup of coffee in her life. And I was like, not even a cup of Folgers. And I was like, okay, so, and instead of me just judging her and looking at her being like, your idea is stupid, you wasted my time, I looked at her and I said, here's the deal. She was unemployed at the time too. Yeah. We always look at, spousal or partner income as well. It's not just you can quit your job, just how are you going to pay us back? Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to know. Right. How are you going to pay us back? And her husband wasn't working as well. And I said, okay, so your first goal is to go get a job at Starbucks.
Yeah.
You need income right now, and you can't afford a $1.5 million building. You don't even have a down payment for the building. So let alone the equipment that needs to be in that building. So why don't you seriously?
Yeah.
Go
Dutch
get a
Bros.
job at Starbucks
Or
and
in Daba, SIMBA member in
Daba,
Daba.
yeah, like I will offer it.
I just said Starbucks because that's what everybody
Right,
knows.
yeah.
Dutch Brothers. I don't care. There's 550.
Yeah.
There
A
are
million coffee
5,000
shops.
coffee shops in Spokane.
Amen.
And so go do that first,
Yeah.
and then come back to me, and then like in a year, talk to me about that experience. What if you hate it?
Right.
Like. Also, I had somebody go, well, I want to start a coffee shop because I don't really like people. And I'm like, can I just tell you, when I used to be an assistant branch manager and I used to be a manager in retail, I used to grab every coffee barista for an employee because they can talk to doors. And so if you don't like people, don't get into the food service industry, retail, banking, when they're like, oh, I don't really want to talk to people. Well, everybody starts off in a branch. Like
That's right.
everybody, somebody asked me, how did you become a small business banker? I got a job learning how to negotiate checks and then you build it from there and you learn. And so it's not easy sometimes becoming into an industry. So if you are dying to have that coffee shop, then make sure you know how to make a cup of Folgers. That was kind of my joke last year. Baseline. Go get a Keurig and learn how the pods work. Like,
Have you seen the movie Yes Man?
Yes.
I was like thinking like your job is a lot like Jim Carrey's job in that he's like has to say yes. He like ends up saying yes to everything, and then he has to say yes to all these loans. Because he's a loan. Small.
Yeah. And it's
So it's kind of like that. You get really weird like business ideas.
Yeah.
I came up with a business idea today where I was like, I watch a lot of people like go to shows and they like, everyone goes to shows and they put their phone up and they're just watching on their phone. I said like, I want to create a device that like you can like, it probably exists, but it hangs off of you. You can have your phone record and not look at your phone.
GoPro.
Wow. And I was like, oh, this could. I always think about ways to get rich.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is so many people are like ways to get rich, and I'm like, well,
Small business ownership, isn't it?
Upstairs, the good old man upstairs isn't making any more dirt, so start buying land.
Yeah,
that's
That's
but
true.
at the same time, I like to point people to organizations like SIMBA are just so rare, and I can't tell you how many times they make my life a lot easier. Yeah. If you are, I'll tap really quick into because Lars mentioned it a few times, the cannabis world.
Yes.
So everybody's curious how this all works. So in 2015, that is when Numerica started. We are able to bank anybody who is in the cannabis industry.
Okay.
You better be serious because there are a lot of fees. And everybody's like, well, why are there so many fees associated with things?
Risk.
Because we are taking on the risk. So really quickly, the best way I can describe any type of business banking is, or especially lending, is our business, Numerica Credit Union, is lending your business, ABC, money to go conduct business, to make money, to pay us back, to then pay back our loan, right? There's a big triangle. And then you add something that's federally illegal, makes it even more risky. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
we've been cannabis industry has been able to bank at Numerica Credit Union, have been able to be members at the credit union since 2015. When Washington State made it legal, there were there's the retailers, producers, and then processors. In most states, you can be all three in your license. But Washington State, you can be a retailer, you can be a producer and a processor, or you could be a producer processor, but you cannot mix all three. So there was only a specific amount of cannabis licenses that were licensed in Washington, as everybody knows. So 2 years ago, Numerica decided to state, all right, let's lend.
Oh,
Okay, so we're going to now start lending. There was only one credit union in Washington, which was Salal, that was able to lend to canna companies. And when you're the only game in town, you can charge whatever rate you want.
That's right.
And that is sad and corrupt, in my opinion. And that's coming from the person who chooses rates for people, or we have margins and guidelines, right?
Yeah.
So we decided, all right, we're going to start lending. So we have a specific bucket. There's like we have a whole cannabis like branch, essentially. We have the girls or the women I just call them my homies because they're awesome. We have a crew of people who actually are like the cannabis branch, and that's who our cannabis people call, other than going to the regular physical branches. Right. And so they'll have a great conversation. They're in our department and they'll say, "Hey, Kasey, I got voluntold to be the cannabis lender, so." I learned real quick how it all works. You should have seen me in my first site visit. I was like, wow. And then if anybody has been around in the cannabis industry, I went back to work and I did not smell great. And everybody was like, what were you doing on your lunch? But it's really fascinating because actually they're so passionate about what they do, right? So we now can lend for cannabis. We can lend vehicles. We can lend buildings. Buildings is a big deal because so many of the retailers, especially, they went on private contracts at like 20%. And now we can do it's crazy. They were just getting highway robbed. So that's been actually really fun to see. Producer processors, you know, these guys are the scientists. Like I said, that Willy Wonka machine. Yeah. They're so passionate about how the products work and all of that. It's like talking to a farmer about his crop. Yeah. Like, honestly, and literally, I'm from farm people, so it's actually just really interesting. So we have been able to do that, and the lending pot has gotten a little bit smaller and smaller because we have been able to assist people in the cannabis industry. If you do not bank with Numerica and you are in the cannabis industry, we would love for you to come bank with us. Or do a loan. However, if I do a loan for you, it is actually required that you bank with us because if something were to happen, we have the funds to collect. So it's been very interesting to offer those services because I always say, talk about an industry that has constantly told no. Truly. Like they handle the no's the best. I'm always like, I can't make it quite work yet. But I will say we've been able to get to yeses and slowly start gaining that trust. So, that was my 2 cents about the cannabis. I know Lars wanted me to talk about it. So, yeah.
I want to talk about like your partnership with SIMBA, how Numerica, like has SIMBA banked with Numerica since the beginning, or was this?
We didn't bank at the very beginning, but we are almost 8 years old in March. So we have been a client for almost the entire time. And we are also start taking advantage of other products. I will give a plug and shout out for other nonprofits in our community. Numerica has an incredible nonprofit money market, and the interest rates are fantastic. Yes. And I know we're all running on pennies and fighting for the same dollars, but getting a little more investment for money just sitting there is incredible. Yeah. And we have just had such a great experience. And we took out a line of credit because we needed it because one of our government contracts was late to pay, which is really exciting. And they never pay you interest either, by the way, when they're just holding up your payment. And so I'm like, well, I've got to make payroll. We gratefully, knock on wood, didn't have to use it, but it was so easy and so kind. I work with Jay and just got it done.
Yeah. Love that guy.
100%.
Yeah. Just have the peace of mind to be able to know that we can keep serving our members.
That's right.
And that the finances aren't in the way.
And literally in December, I've converted me to be an individual member as well. So
wow. I will be with that bonus check-in.
That's
Make sure you use debit card so that you can get some interest back on it.
Or your credit card works too.
Yeah, or your credit card.
That's right. I have 12 transactions.
Another thing about that business, that nonprofit money market, it is
yes,
we're beating everybody on that rate. Yeah. But also, if you see on the TV that, watching the news or whatever, and you see that Numerica is running a CD special, that also pertains to your nonprofit.
That's
and we can put.
We got one of those this last year also.
Yes.
Awesome.
There was a great 17-month CD at 4.25% annual percentage yield. And I literally,
that's the one.
That's the one that I had a lot of people calling me for that, and businesses included.
That's right.
But that is, nonprofits also qualify for those CD rates as well.
It's an easy, safe investment for us where it's, worst case, we lose a little bit, but secure, safe, because just like you, our money as a nonprofit, as a private charity, is not our money.
Yeah, it's also treasured.
That's right.
People donate and give back to, want to give back to you and do to your mission as a nonprofit. And I will say that's treasured money. And that's something that I know Numerica, whenever a commercial officer or myself, a small business officer, gets a nonprofit, I do take it to heart a lot more because I know how hard you guys are out there working, trying to pound pavement, trying to make donations and make money. Those government grants are also not fun to get. So I'd love to lean those. So
just if I could briefly touch on. I know it's like, so for people, because sometimes people want to create nonprofits instead of small businesses.
Right.
Don't do that.
I'm happy to have that conversation with you also.
So
Pay your taxes.
Please don't do it.
no. But the for nonprofits, one of the things
That's
that we really are here to serve.
Yeah.
And things like if people want to give you appreciated stock, like all these things that you're like, oh, how do I deal with this? We walk you through. We have an investment arm.
That's
we can
right.
help sit down with people. It's like, how do we do this? We want to do a retirement program for businesses or nonprofits. If you care about your team, but sometimes you don't know how to.
Yeah.
We do financial education.
Yeah.
We do first time buy home ownership. We can help set up a retirement program. We can help you care for your team, care for your community in some different ways.
What if you're ready to retire? What if you want to sell your business, right? We have our financial team. I am really good friends with one of the financial advisors. Business evaluations, if you bank with us, is FREE, and they'll do it for free. Usually, if you're
That
with
I
financial,
did not know. It's
with
a new
financial
resource to sell with
services.
businesses we work with.
Yeah.
phenomenal.
And so sometimes when you're just trying to get ready for retirement, you have an employee that wants to buy your business. That's the other thing too, is then that's the SBA loan, but then we can work with financial services to get that business evaluation. It usually is, I'm not 100%, but last time I checked, it's usually a free evaluation.
Well, and you want to do that early enough because so
Absolutely,
oftentimes
yeah.
when people think about these things too late.
Yep.
And so it's like you want to start and finish well in life, period.
Yep, that's right.
And so same thing with your business. And so for your business, rather than waiting like, oh yeah, we want to retire in 2 years. Like, whoa, okay, that might be enough time. But really, like, even so oftentimes, like, well, let's pull back from the business a little bit. Like, well, that's how your valuation is going to be impacted. So even understanding all the different decisions as a business owner, that how it impacts the value of your business, and doesn't just mean for retirement. You may be, I think of like soulful soups and some other things. Like might be natural transitions. You want to just go from one adventure to another, and so do you have a trusted partner to help you think through how to make different decisions that will serve you and your business and your future as best as possible?
Yeah, we also know like business attorneys and things like that can help you with that transition as well.
Yeah.
So
I guess I never really thought of that. Like when you give your money to an institution, you just kind of put it there. Like you don't realize like that money
They're lending my money.
I'm giving you my money, and like that probably should come with some services that I did not know existed.
Right. And I think back on the SIMBA partnership with Numerica, some of the things that the last couple of years that we've worked with, and I know Lars can talk about SIMBA's partnership with Numerica before my time at SIMBA, but also we've hosted a couple of workshops and brought in Mike and brought in Jay to answer questions and to give kind of that real information in I think a safer setting where you don't have to be the one asking the question that you're embarrassed about, and talking about the things we look at for lending and what that might be, and having direct contacts of wherever I need to send someone for a small business owner, even if it's going to a retail branch and opening a credit card, or understanding that separate business account and why we need to open it and what the offerings are. And
this place,
you know, the beauty of, especially at a credit union, you're not also paying for the privilege of the credit union having your money, which as a former business owner myself was something I did. I'm like, oh, why is that?
my favorite question to ask
Going
people
there.
too is when they're like, oh, I'm a small business owner. I'm like, who's your banker?
Yeah.
And they're like,
I don't know.
Chase.
Chase.
Right? What's his name?
I'm like, what's
Chase. Oh, it's also Chase.
Oh yeah. Wells Fargo. Yeah. What's your banker name? And I can't speak to all of my clientele, but I do know that a lot of them are like, oh, I bank with Kasey.
That's right.
They don't say I bank with Numerica. I bank with Kasey.
Yeah.
And that's something that it's Jay. You know
That's
your
right.
commercial officer's name by his first name. It's not, oh, Mr. Rivera,
That's
or
right.
oh, it's Corey Willard or whatever. You know, that's some of our Spokane commercial team. They're great guys. Their offices are right next to mine, so I just call them my big brothers. And I'm the little sister they got, but they didn't want. But I will say we have a great relationship with them, and so I always, if you are a business out there and you want someone to pay attention to you, then get a hold of a banker and ask. I just had a brand new business call one of our private bank, like his buddy is in private banking, and they were like, we need a banker. And then one of our assistant relationship officers was like, get him to Kasey. And I called him and I was like, who's your banker? And he was like, oh, I bank here and here's my banker. And he's like, I'm not happy. Like, I never get an email back. Like, I asked 6 months ago, or I asked 6 weeks ago for somebody to help me, and I'm not getting anywhere. And we've been like, I literally followed up with him after the new year because I'm still waiting on a financial document. And he's just like, wow, thank you for responding back. If I haven't responded back to you, I'm really sorry. I do get a lot of emails, but still.
I think that's a good segue into small business generally and things we love about Spokane. Because one of the things I also love about Numerica and things I always encourage people to do, and I try to throw it, not every newsletter, but I always try to remind people, let's leave some positive reviews. Yes. One of your former retail bankers who doesn't work with Numerica anymore, she just went above and beyond for a client that we had referred to her, right? And I was like, who do I send this to? I'm like, Lars, who do I email this person to? And I also knew some people on your board. And I also let them know because it matters. So that same kind of energy when we're showing up and taking those steps. Well, what business are you rooting for in Spokane?
Oh, so many.
Hard question.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm gonna take a quick step back too, but just like when I'm thinking through like the history that we've had.
Yeah.
So back at the start of the birthing of SIMBA, been there, and also what's been fun is SIMBA's had different ideas through the time.
That's right.
And so like I've invested, and my colleagues have invested lots of time in thinking like, what if we created this other way of doing business where we can transact, and like, could we do this? Could we do the back end? How do we help? So like helping innovate,
right?
Like, it's not just for our businesses; it's from our nonprofit partners. We try to help innovate in some of those different things. As far as who I'm rooting for right now, holy cow! I think.
Or who do you love?
Well, Feast World Kitchen is absolutely someone that I love, but I think there's a lot of fun new little restaurants that have been popping up that because there's always a life cycle to them. But sometimes some of your favorite places, you hope it kind of gets a cult longer term following. So I've recently had some really good ramen. Started out in Hogwash, but it's moved upstairs.
We finally get to go on Saturday.
So good. Get your reservations now. Like it is.
What's it called?
It's Nekojita.
Yes.
Oh, it's in that building?
It's an IPK.
Oh, it's IPK. Oh, okay.
They were doing pop-ups, and now it's the dinner service there.
Yes.
Oh.
And I love that. Like Saltbox did the same thing. So I think having other ways to use space, like going back, I love like Family Promise. There was a bridge program that's like for years, the church that I used to go to, we would host families at a time. And so like, because churches, like they're just empty all the time. Like how do they do something good? Other restaurants, they might serve a certain time. How do we use the space for something else?
That's right.
And so with IPK, with again, ryegrass to have like Saltbox and other things pop up in different space. I love this because I think it's as a community, we're getting a little bit more entrepreneurial, a little bit thinking of it differently rather than it has to be a certain way. Why?
Right.
What resources do we have that we can re-envision?
Could be Deer Park. SIMBA works all over the place.
I live in the valley, so
it could be the valley.
You can be like, you little valley snob. Okay, so I'm gonna give them a shout out because they make my coffee every single day, and I said don't open a coffee stand, but there is a really cute coffee stand called Liberty Sips that I go to every day, and they also do like dirty sodas, and they buy like their breakfast burritos and stuff from De Leon's, and so I love that it's the best. I don't care. I'll wait 20 minutes because they see my car there and they start making my coffee. Amazing. I go places for customer service. I don't always go for the price. It's always who's going to help me, and so I'm going to give them a shout out because they make my coffee every day, and I love those girls so much. And it's a really cute little vibe, and their customer service is always on point. When it comes to businesses that I'm rooting for, I will tell you that I can't name names, of course, because they are in my portfolio, but I am always rooting for... I have a very small place in my heart for farmers and for the trucking industry. My brother runs a trucking company in Oregon, and my family's been, my uncle was in it for 50 years. And to see the impact of what the economy can do. I see the stress on my brother's eyes every time I see him, trying to make sure that he provides for those families. And I see the backbone of America a lot on their shoulders. And I just had one of my truckers call me, and he's like, I'm selling all my log truck equipment and I'm going to hit the road. And so I'm seeing that. And so I'm always rooting for those people, but I'm always actually rooting for every business that comes across. Fabrication, I love blue collar. Like I like landscapers. construction, if you're a good construction guy, handyman. I am noticing that like little handyman businesses are starting to pop up. Do you know why? It's because people like me her dad did everything. And my father is no longer, he passed away, and it's rude. And so I'm always like, oh, this is a boy job. And where is he?
I need a house husband too.
Yes, I need a house husband too. And I don't have one of those. And so what I will say is like little handyman business, how many of the elderly community that actually needs some help every once in a while. And so if you want to do like, you know, like I said, you go in and set up Christmas lights for a little old lady. I like that too. But up in Deer Park is definitely shovel snow. Deer Park is booming. I will say, I feel like pretty soon it's going to be Numerica Deer Park is all going to be houses. And I drove that drive a really long time. Chewelah is really growing as well. I have some clientele up there, but there's a really cool building in Deer Park. It's called the Olson Building. That
my family lives in Deer Park.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you remember the old hotel, right? That's called the Olson Building. It was built in 1890. Amazing. And a really good real estate investor who she has a very, I'll say it's a she probably wouldn't care if I said her name, but she holds a very close place in my heart. That lady is smart when it comes to real estate. Well, she purchased it.
Nice.
And from the previous owner, and she washed the whole brick, and it's like painted black. There's no more like god awful green awnings. And then she got some tenants in there, and one is a Thai restaurant, and then one is called Levon Bakery. And let me tell you, like,
awesome.
And then
road trip.
Seriously, road trip up there. And then they also are going to do like a little bistro as well. And then it actually has another doctor up there that's in that building. And so she's really like taken such a great staple in the community because it's right between Crawford and Maine. And she really enhanced this building. And it says Olson Building across it, and took the historical piece of it. And my grandparents lived in Deer Park for 30 plus years as well. So farmers. And so I will say I love to see what somebody can come into a community and create a really cool space for people to be there. And then the Picket Fence coffee shop is right next to that building, and that's my really good friend Kasey actually owns that shop.
That place is delightful.
Oh, isn't yes. And I got to see that grow, you know, and she started that she started making coffee and decided to open up her own coffee shop. And she has such a cool...
But she had made coffee before.
She had made coffee before. I love that girl. That girl works so hard. But the cool part is that the parents, because she's got a huge following from the high school community, because she does like logo wear and simple modern like cups and stuff with her logo on it, and always changing, goes on TikTok live and all of that. She does all of those great marketing things to target the younger audience. And the cool thing is that with the building right next to it, the moms go to the juice bar and all of that. So it's really cool how that little strip in Deer Park has really become a really cool thing. So it's been really fun to see that evolve in my lending career. So
I definitely drive through it like once a month, and I don't ever really spend much time in there, but it's cool to see it's like popping up and I have a lot of friends that live there, and it really is like all the outskirts of Spokane are really growing, and I have imagine that it has a lot to do with like cost.
Have you been to Chewelah?
I haven't been in a while. No.
Darling little art district. We love it.
Did you ever go to Mountain Market on Main?
Yes.
They just closed.
I know. R.I.P.
Right? They are
the coolest space.
You can edit this part. They are near and dear to my heart. I financed all of that. At my other institution. And what a cool
idea.
They're gonna sell
they're
selling they just want to move to Montana and go be people. But that was another great example of somebody walking into a community and being like, there's a need for they bought the old Catholic schoolhouse, and they
all those little different spaces within there. I'd love that.
I remember when they bought it, and so I'm glad that you got to go see it though, because Jana was the owner,
and she was the mayor's wife.
Yep. He is no longer the mayor, and they decided to.
I can tell you, small business in every community in Eastern Washington.
The cool thing though that they did is they organically grew their business. They did it smartly,
slowly, intentionally,
and then when they bought that Catholic schoolhouse, man, to see that evolve was just so cool, you know. And that's what I love about my job is it's just like somebody when you're working on trying to get them to buy their first house, and then you get to see them buy their first house. It's the best.
Where should we go next? I feel like we're wrapping up here.
I feel like we're wrapping up. Couple SIMBA plugs that are organic from this conversation. We've talked about taxes and commingling your funds and all those things repeatedly.
I don't think we probably talked enough about commingling your funds.
I can't say
I can't say it enough. I will say I talk about it all the time. But a couple of things coming up that we're heading into tax season. We have a federal tax prep workshop for small businesses coming up. And it is next week, so this might not have posted, but we have a YouTube library with like 35 different workshops on them, ranging from 8 minutes of a short answer to 2.5 hours of a full workshop.
Love that.
You can get them on demand and free and get that help. One-on-one consultations are always an option. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to join SIMBA to not only get all of our services free, because most of them are free, but some of them are not, and to get the great networking with members like Numerica, like Spokecast, like Electric Photoland, and Daba Coffee. I will go on and on about the incredible people that are part of our community. Pod 15 will get you 15% off your annual membership, and it is cheap, and it is a tax write-off as a business association. So we will help you grow your business and meet other people. And the biggest plug I want to give is SIMBA's never done an annual fundraiser before. But we're doing one this year, May 16th, 2026, talking about a place that we're rooting for at the Guardian Spokane, the former Gretna Green Chapel. It is the SIMBA Circus. If you would like to see aerialists and people on stilts and possibly someone getting lit on fire, custom cocktails, past appetizers, and a little silent auction, no sad chicken dinner, save the date. It is going to be incredible.
May 16th. I will.
2026 to Saturday.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes. Way to close it. The best guest.
How I will end it with how if you're thinking about if you're a small business and you're thinking about getting a loan, how do we get in touch with you? How can someone is or starting a bank.
No.
I'm really losing my train of thought here.
Don't.
You're doing great.
How can people get a hold of you?
First of all, no question is a dumb question. So please reach out.
Yeah.
Part of our small business team there's 6 of us. There's one in, I don't know if people in Tri-Cities listen, but we've got people in Tri-Cities, Wenatchee, North Idaho. There's 2 of us here in Spokane. But we also partner with branches. I help 7 of our branches. So if you want to go into a branch and say, hey, I heard Kasey Davis, that's my last name, on this podcast, I would really like to get in touch with her. You're always welcome. I'm on the website, and we're always here to help you, but our branches are also here to help you and serve you to try to get you to that next step. A lot of people are like, this guy came in and wants to talk to Kasey. So usually I'll get a hold of you. I used to travel between the branches a lot. Sorry, branches. I love you. I just don't have the time. And so I usually try to get out there at least once or twice a month. So, but you can find me at numericacu.com. And if you go under the business tab, hit meet the team, you'll see Kasey Davis right there on the website.
Yeah, and you're welcome to post over any of our information because
that's right.
We are here to serve you.
Yeah, I'm always here to help you as much as I possibly can. Once again, no question is a dumb question, and
only the question you don't ask.
Correct is the only question that you don't ask, and so we're always here to help you and serve you and the best that we can.
Anything.
Well, thank you for being on the pod. I will after this I will maybe try to set up a meeting and
I will give you my business card. You're going to be that privileged.
Move my account from where I was
right.
at to Numerica because I really need to do that.
They actually have a signature card here for you, so we're good.
Yeah. I have my laptop. Do you want me to call my assistant?
I'm not there yet. But no, this is great.
Yeah.
I
How much did you learn today?
I'm always learning so much doing this podcast because I find out new businesses that exist in Spokane and ways to best example was I met Josh. Why can't
Josh Thomas, Legit Creative from our board,
and I've worked with him twice on new logos for clients, and I've just learned so much about the infrastructure of what SIMBA's doing and who they're working with, and then
finally used our services,
and what I learned today was when I'm banking somewhere, I should be asking the questions and knowing who I'm banking with. Because like when you said like who's your banker, I'm like I have no idea. They're over in Seattle, and I'm not saying that my bank doesn't care about me, but I was kind of handcuffed into where I was at, and like when you're making financial decisions, you should probably know where your money's going and who's working with you on it.
Well, somebody asked me when I first I was at a mix and mingle or whatever, and somebody said what was being to a very successful banker, and they were like, what made you so successful? I was like maybe 4 months in or whatever, and they said all you have to do is care. And I was like, well, I like that.
You're like,
I
ready.
like people. Also, you can always get people talking about their business because that's the thing they're most passionate about, right?
Yeah.
I would never start my own small business, so please keep starting small businesses so I have a job. But I will say that was my biggest thing is like, who's your banker? All you have to do is care. And I'm here to, I know I might be a weirdo, but that's what I'm here for. And if I am not your cup of tea, I always tell that too. I've got plenty of people and we've got lots of people who will help. Our SBA department though is chef's kiss amazing. I will say I'm a little biased. He's my boss, but I've learned so much about credit and everything from Mike Shortell, who's my boss, and Matt Biggerstaff. So I'll give them a little plug. I guess so. So yeah.
Well, thank you,
welcome.
Lars, Kasey, you for being on the podcast.
I feel bad. We kind of went off topic.
Oh no, that's always kind of it's always the way
okay.
it kind of goes. And thank you, Robin.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be back next month. And thank you all so much for listening.
Thanks so much.
Until next time, peace.